pocket party.
Oh yeah, baby. So let's start that party in your ear holes.
Everybody listen to Darren Carter. Yeah. We all know he's the party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, then listen to a pocket party. Pocket party. Darren.
And we're back. Hey, everybody, it's your host, Darren Carter, the party starter. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Pocket Party Podcast. If you could do us a favor, go to the comment section on YouTube and just leave some comments. Even if you're hearing this on Apple or Spotify or any other app, just when you get a chance, go to Darren Carter on YouTube, find some of the podcast episodes, and leave some comments. Today, my guest returning is the one and only Brian Swinehart.
Hey.
Dude, it's so funny because I remember in 2018 you and I went to Reno and we're going through the airport and there was a woman that walked by and you went, hey, and she stopped and turned like she knew you, and you just started talking to her, and then I noticed you did it again, and it was funny. I was like, is this like a thing you do? Is this something you used to do?
Yeah, I would go up and I'd say hey in such a way that people think they know me. And I've had straight up conversations. One time I did it to Hollywood Improv to some girl leaving, and she started talking to me and kept talking to me, and then she told me how she won a prize on The Price is Right. I think she won a car. And we're talking, and this is going on for a good 5-10 minutes, right? And then finally she goes, man, remind me where we met. I said, well, 5 minutes ago.
Hey. Dude, that's good. That's good, man.
Yeah, so I got really good at that because of just doing it repetitively. And
I bet you'd be good at sales.
Yeah, I think I would too. I'm not into it that much because I still don't, it's just not my interest. But yeah, I think I would be if I, worked at a car lot or something like that. I'm sure I could make some sales. But yeah, I used to just love talking to girls like that. California lent itself to that because the weather was good and you'd be outside. And then I just kind of said hey in that way so much that I just got really good at it. And I'd be going to, there's Runyon Canyon where you go on hikes. And I was with a friend one time, and he said, I've never seen anything like this. Really? Every single girl, boom, boom.
You're just like, hey.
And it gets a response. Even if they're not into you in that way, it still gets a response because of the way that you deliver it in a kind of friendly manner. And if you go to somewhere like Runyon Canyon or something where people are in more like a good mood and they're not busy. But even in one time I was in New York. Adam Hunter took me to a gig in England. We were in London, England.
Wow, you've been to London, England?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I was in London, England, and he and I had 24 hours to be in London, England, and we went up to every single girl. We had the time of our lives, just hey, just talking like what's the best. I remember that as one of the funnest days ever, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, because we just had 24 hours and we were just talking to every single person we could, and but doing that really builds you up because it's like a muscle, it's like a repetitive thing, And a guy that used to take me out to these shows, his name was Siddiqui Fuller, rest in peace. He taught me something. He was very smart. He taught me a couple of things, but one of the things he taught me was he said always talk. He goes, if you're at the cash register at a grocery store, he said talk to the lady working the cash register. Talk to everyone. He goes, it's always practice. And he goes, you get good at talking to people. He goes, just start talking to all.
Absolutely.
And then I just started talking to as many people as I could, just little things here and there, kind of ask them a little bit about their life or whatnot. And I found that it made my conversation skills all that much better. And then when I met the real love of my life, I was ready for her because I went up and I said, hey, and I had experience, So you hear a lot of guys talking about, they don't want to go up to girls and this and that, and they're worried about what they say. But if you do something a lot, you're not really going to be worried about it. It's like somebody, if they take a lot of foul shots, they're not going to be worried to go up to the foul line, right, and do a foul shot.
Yeah.
So if you throw the baseball a lot, you're going to have confidence when you go to the pitcher's mound, right? So that's kind of how it is with talking to people, and in particular, if you're looking to
the more shots you try and the more effort you put into it, the more chances you are going to score.
Yeah, the more chances you're going to score, right? And it'll become natural too. You can do it with out getting the worry or anxiety, or because I think too, like if I were to teach a class on this, which I think I almost could actually, would be that it's kind of the reps, and also the fact that when somebody says no to you or something, it ain't really personal, and it's not the big thing. Passing out flyers to the comedy shows, starting off my career, that was a valuable skill. Like, it was hard. Like, I'd be out there for hours. I got to show at the Improv this weekend. Here, half off ticket. Here's a free ticket. Just talking to strangers and having people be like, what the heck? Like kind of dissing you sometimes, right? And I had one guy he took a flyer I gave him and he put it in his mouth and started eating it, just like being And then other people, they'll take the flyer from you and then they'll just throw it right in the trash in front of you just to be jerks. And you're like, dude, I paid for that, right?
Yeah.
So, but then that just got me in general talking to people. Now, I would tell guys, just talk to people in general, like Siddiqui said, go to the person working the cash register, talk to her, strike up a conversation. Just the better you get, because what I think happens a lot to some of these guys is they try to be smooth or say something that you really wouldn't say in normal life. And even a boring conversation that we think is boring, it's still a conversation, as long as it's not too boring. But if it's kind of oh man, today's a lot hotter than it was yesterday, something like that is okay, it gets it going, and then you can kind of build the trust, and then they're like, okay, well, this guy's not a total creeper, so.
Dude, but it's funny. What you're talking about is something I teach my son. I said, when we're walking, I go, just get practice at just saying hi to people, just random people as we're walking by. And I go, but read the body language. Like if they got headphones on, or, those giant headphones, they probably don't want to be bothered. Or if they're on a phone call, you don't just walk up.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to teach him is especially the younger generations, they're so isolated and so
100%.
Looking at their phone, or just they don't want to, and I you just do that. But if they're open, you can kind of tell with their body language if a person's open. Like if they're walking their dog and they're not listening to anything and they're just kind of random, I'll just go good morning, or how are you, or what you just said, it's a lot hotter today.
Yeah, the phones are a real detriment to that type of stuff. I'm curious to see what happened with society as far as that, because I feel like if a young person like your son's age can get good at real world interactions, that they will be able to run laps around their peers. Because when you go places now, you'll be a place and you'll see all these people on their phone, right? And they're in that world. But yet the real world, or that we're used to, if you can be competent and have a skill set of talking to people and being outgoing, and like you said, not overly outgoing, not getting in somebody's space too much, but when you're just places and talk, because you never know where it can lead, right? And you never know when you're going to meet somebody that you have something in common with, and then you can I became friends with a lot of people from passing out those flyers, right? They would come in, we would be legitimate, anytime I did a show, like in San Jose, I met this real great guy named Mike Brown, and he was doing a project for his college, and so and he was supposed to take pictures. It was like a photography class, and he was supposed to take pictures of somebody a day in the life of. And then so I got all these cool. He took a whole day of pictures of me passing out the flyers, the comedy shows, and I was like, dang, dude, if I weren't kind of outgoing, I never would have met this cool dude who. His project was to take pictures of somebody. He was all excited. Oh, man, I can take pictures of a comic. This is the best project of anybody,
Right.
And
I noticed like when we're friendly with people and through communication, you get. I mean, I didn't come up with this, but you get way more. What is it? You attract more flies with honey than you do with vinegar.
Okay.
You know.
I think it's bees, but yeah.
Bees? Is it something like that? It's not,
or maybe bees create honey. I don't know, dude, but yeah. I'm not for sure, bro.
All you know about is hey. Yeah. No, but it's true. Like, you know, when someone's at the airport and they yell at the person behind the desk, you know, usually they're not going to help them. But if you're nice to them, you'll get help a lot. Like I notice even here at the hotel, if we're nice to the maids and you say hello, good morning, and they're all, you know, they've given me like bottles of water and just friendliness. And
yeah, you can get a lot that way. And paying attention to people. You know, I was doing.
Let people know that they, as they say now, that you matter, that they matter. You know, like I do. I like to look people in the eye and ask them how they're doing. And I did read something online though. This guy gave some advice. You know, everyone has advice that they give online. And he goes, "I'm a man who's lived in about 9 houses. I'm a former police officer, and I can give you some advice. Don't get too friendly with your neighbors, because your neighborhood is supposed to be your sanctuary. When you leave the world behind, you come down your street and you go to he goes, you can say hello to your neighbors, but once you start getting into these backyard barbecues and these overly friendly situations, as a cop, I can tell you that's where a lot of these domestic violence happens, where neighbors start getting mad at each other. Now when you come down your street, you get that knot in your stomach. You're like, oh, there's Harold. And then he goes, and so my advice in these 9 houses is I say hello, I wave, and that's it. I don't become too friendly." That's what this guy said. What are your thoughts?
Oh, that's not bad advice, I guess. I could see that. I felt like in California, when I was there, I could kind of see how that could be. But I always become friendly. Now, where I grew up, man, I have some fantastic neighbors. Like the lady who babysit me from 2 years old. I mean, I love her, Mrs. M. But I could see how that could be if you're too much in and you go out and get drunk and then somebody gets mad at somebody and then this and that. But the same too, I got another neighbor, he and I grew up together, and his family is real close with me, and man, they're always looking out for us. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta have, but it also is like you need your own space too. You don't want to be over there 24/7 and this and that. And I think that the country living is a little different, but I could see how you don't want to be too much in people's thing. I know when I was in LA and we had I had all these nut job actresses and actors in my place and in this apartment.
Yeah.
And I didn't really agree with these people during 2020 with what was going on. And then these 2 girls, I was talking to one of the girls as I was going to my apartment saying I disagreed with having to wear the mask. And then the other girl heard this and she jumps out. And then these 2 girls, they literally started fighting. And I was like, okay, gosh, So so it depends where you're at. Like these small, like apartments, I would say like an apartment complex, more so I would probably even keep more to myself. Now in the country, you kind of need your neighbors.
Yeah, because you have each other's back. Hey, our horse got away,
And now I would say, but you got to be like, then you got to be careful because like, for instance, you don't know who you're living by, and like so. When
you're like, hey man, the cops are going to raid my marijuana farm. Can you get my back?
Yeah, well, we don't quite have that, but you got to know where you're at. Like so. For instance, when the assassination of Trump attempt for Trump happened in my neighborhood, dude, guns were going off like crazy.
Wow.
And I was like, dang, I didn't know that many people around. Like, I guess it's the cunt, but like, I'm just like, dang, dude. So you don't want to upset those neighbors.
Right. Yeah.
Like, boom, boom. Yeah. Apparently, somebody in our area even has a cannon. I was like, somebody has a cannon? And it was like, yeah. I was like, gee whiz. know? So like, but in a way, it makes your area safe because nobody gonna mess with it. But mainly, we're not like crazy people. There's a lot of hunters. There's a lot of you kind of need some of that a little more in the country than you would in the city.
I used to go deer hunting with my dad when I was a kid. Did you ever do that?
No, because it's weird because there's a lot of deer and stuff there, but my mom is like super against. I'm like, Mom, we eat cows, we eat meat, but she just has such a
venison, they call it.
Yeah, venison. They say she has such a love for deers. That she,
Bambi, right?
Yeah, she's got that. So it's like
we'd have a lot of fun though. Like my dad and his buddies, like we all had like deer rifles, and I'd put on a deer costume. I'm joshing with you. But yeah, that was. But you're right, though. I could see like in a transient type area, like a big city, like you said, because then people, they might only live there for 2 months, or they don't have much of a sense of community.
Is.
You know? Yeah, exactly.
In a small town, you know people since you were a little kid, so you know their background, and it's hard for somebody. If somebody does something messed up in a small town, they're going to be held accountable, because the whole town is going to be like, "Yo, what the heck?" Right? But in a big city, you could be some kind of weirdo and you could just fit in with the crowd and be doing whatever weird thing you do. But in a little town, that ain't going to fly, because once people find out, it's going to be them versus you, you know?
Hey, back to the mask thing, when people were wearing masks. Tell us that story about you were in the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're the kind of guy, you like to, hey, and then you're just like, wow, it was all shut down. No one wants to, at that time it must have been, nobody wanted to talk to strangers at all.
Yeah, well, that was part of their plan, was to divide us like that. But the thing was, I was at the grocery, and, you know, I was single, dude, and that was pretty tough being single during the pandemic, right? I mean, gee whiz. You know,
a lot of people are very lonely.
Yeah, and especially in a town like LA, that's such a like kind of superficial place with kind of not everybody, but there's a lot of like rude. I mean, you have a lot of like hot chicks, I guess, but you have a very superficial, not very deep. You know. Anyways, I don't want to trash too much, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you know, but anyways, I'm at the grocery and I see this girl. I say, hey. Bet you'd look real good with that mask.
Wait, say the line again. Say the line, but not yet. Hold on, I'll tell you the story. I ran into two comedians, a guy and a girl. They date each other. I knew him from the Comedy Store. I saw him at a coffee shop. Hadn't seen, anybody really in 4 months. I go, dude, it's been 4 months, which we didn't even know was going to keep going. And then we were outside on the sidewalk, and they, nobody. We didn't have to wear a mask out there. And they go, man, but we all had it around because you had to wear it to go in to order. Yeah. But we were like just bonding, going, man, you don't realize. Especially because our comedian, like our style, we express, especially a comedian, with our face a lot,
And smiles.
And smiles, and let people know you're joking. You smile after you say something kind of, on paper it might look kind of mean.
Yeah.
And the one guy, he goes, yeah, I didn't realize how much our face, you communicate through expression, and he goes, it's been real strange. But I remember you were at the grocery store and you walked up. Do it as Matthew McConaughey.
Okay. Hey. So I see this woman, I go, hey. Bet you'd look real good without that mask on. She took it off. I was wrong.
I remember you told me that. You're like, I bet you look real good underneath that mask.
Yeah, underneath that mask, yeah.
That's hilarious. I want you to tell the story. I love this because we were here March 2020 here in El Paso, Texas. Mm-hmm. And we're in El Paso, Texas right now as we record this 4 years later. And you and I were talking about how, like, wow, this is crazy. Things are being locked down. Shows are being canceled left and right. Who knows what the future holds? And you told me a story about something that happened I think the story is called Maybe.
Oh, the Maybe story. Okay, yeah. So the Maybe story. So this story takes place during the time of the Civil War. And there's this farmer, and he's got horses. He's got a horse. He's got one horse in particular that's like the best horse around. This is like the number one horse. And then one day, this horse up and runs away. Well, his neighbor comes over and he says, man, it sure is a shame about that horse. And the old farmer goes, maybe. The next day, the horse comes back with a bunch of other horses. So now he's got the good horse and all these other horses as well. Well, his son, who's about 18, 19 years old, is trying to break this horse, one of these wild horses. He's trying to teach him how to be, good horses, work horses. So he's up there riding on the horse, and he gets bucked off, breaks his leg. Neighbor comes over. Well, it sure is a shame about your son breaking his leg. Maybe. Okay, so then the next day comes around, and some of the army or military guys or soldiers are coming through the town. They're looking for guys to put into war. They need some young guys to help them fight the war. So they stop at this old farmer's house because they hear he's got a young, healthy, 18, 19-year-old son who'd be good. And so they stop at the house, and they see the kid's leg is broken. And they're like, well, we can't use him, so they leave. Well, the neighbor comes over again. Wow, sure is lucky that your son didn't have to go to war. Maybe. And then that's where the story ends, because basically anything that happens, a maybe, it's like, it seems good, it might not be good. It seems bad, it might not be bad. I mean, in the end, they all kind of equal out. So you don't want to get too high on yourself because something happened good, but you don't want to get too low on yourself, something bad, because they can always be turned around, and most likely in the world, they get turned and flipped around, right? Because things kind of equal themselves out in a lot, and that's why the farmer, he had a level head, and so he realized that if something good happened for him, that's, maybe it's good. You don't know what's going to happen next. Something bad happened. Maybe it's bad. Maybe it's not. Maybe it turns out like the kid getting his leg broken saved him from going to war. But what's going to happen after that? So you can't really get your emotions too high one way or another. It's always a maybe, because you got to look for the next thing that's going to happen.
I like that. It's kind of like country, like a country logic, kind of a country story. And I noticed on stage, I really like all your new stuff. It really has like you're a country comedian spitting your tales, if you will.
Well, you know what happened, Darren, is when I was in Los Angeles, I started trying to fit in with everybody. And I started trying to be cool. And I'm not cool. And
Amen.
Exactly, dude. and I started to try to fit it. I had shows going and I had gigs going. So I started kind of being like everybody else, I think. I kind of didn't want to even take chances too much because I had my thing going, and you're kind of around your peers and you're all kind of doing this thing. And then I went back home and I started realizing who I really was, who I grew up to be when I was growing up. And that's more of a person than I was. Even though LA kind of jaded me for 20 years and I was in show business, I went back and I went back to my home where I grew up.
Where's that?
Covington, Ohio. And I went back there and I'm surrounded again, and I go back there and I start working construction job, home remodel job. And then I start hanging with the guys that I'm working with, and at lunch break we go and get Wendy's and we talk, and I'm spinning tales about my days in LA. And I realized that when I would tell them these stories, these guys' eyes would glaze over. They couldn't care less, right? I realized that LA was such a superficial place that they think what they're doing is so important. Meanwhile, people got real lives going on, right? And I started really loving to work this job. It was a kind of a hard, strenuous job. I have to lug carpet everywhere and carry stuff and move cabinets and all this stuff. And I kind of started liking that job. So then I started saying, you know what? I started caring less and less about the LA thing and more and more about my thing. And then people got a little upset with me when I went real hardcore into the political stuff during that time, and people would even walk out the shows and stuff like that. But I needed that. I needed to express that anger because I was pissed, and I never really had expressed anger too much on stage like that, so much true. And, you look back at what I said, and I was right. And people were mad, but I ended up being right. And so anyways...
I love one time you did a podcast with Fraser Smith, and he goes, remember, they're in the comedy business, not the anger business.
Yeah, and he was right about that. But at the time, I needed that, dude. And then so... And also at the time, I really didn't care where my career went, honestly. I was like, I'm back in Ohio. I'm happy. I'm content. I'm around people I love. I'm around people that love me, and I'm okay if I don't go back into show business. So that changed me. But then because I went through all that, then I started, now that the anger is gone a little bit, now that I'm I took Fraser's advice, I got all that anger out of me. And then I just started telling stories that are more like what actually really happened to me.
Yeah, that's when you tell them, I'm going to show you guys an example of what I'm talking about. Tell them about how you met your wife.
Okay. So basically I was in Miami, Florida, and I was writing this erotic novel.
Right there. It's it's ridiculous, dude. Writing an erotic novel. And remember last night I brought you up on stage? I go, guys, I go, what is this erotic? I think you should say romance novel. Let's do a vote. And I go, how many ladies think he should call it an erotic novel? And the crowd went nuts.
Yeah, erotic
And
novel.
I said romance, and nobody clapped.
No.
It was like one angry guy or something.
yeah. Well, and he was with his wife, so he had to be.
Yeah. No, there was like 3 or 4 guys that clapped. I'm like, oh shit. I go, I know nothing about this world then.
Because you notice the ladies were like, erotic.
Erotic. I thought that was too hardcore, but what do I know? I mean, you know what you're doing now. So it's like,
So erotic novel, and it's true, dude, because I've been writing this. I've been writing. This was 3 years ago. I'm still working on this erotic novel, right? I've been writing this book, but when I was in Miami,
dude, you sound like a creep. If I had a guy that lived on my street, like, hey, how's it going? Working on my erotic novel.
hey. Well, I started writing because I said, I'm going to jot down all these experiences I've been through because I think they're kind of interesting, and I've kept a journal
Right.
since like 2002 or 4 or something like that. I read that book, The Artist's Way, and she said write your morning pages. Well, I have all these pages of like crazy stuff that I did when I was in California that I think was like, man, I never would expect that. People I met, dates I went on, comedy shows I did. So I said, man, I'm going to figure out how to put that into a book. And then I just started writing, and even the first page is this. This story starts in Miami, Florida, because your author likes palm trees and bikinis.
Nice.
And I was like, dude, I got something here, right?
Erotic novel.
Like,
After working as stand-in for Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
That way they just picture Matthew McConaughey telling these stories,
yeah, dude, I love it, dude. Let's put him in. So,
But I love the line about you met your lady and then things were clicking really good. And now here's a joke we came up with, because this is true. You got a ticket when you proposed to her. Your car was parked.
So what happened is I met her at the Starbucks there in Miami, and her cousins. She was there with her 2 cousins. They were both girls, and they were taking a selfie. So I went up and I said, "Hey," and I said, "Want me to take that picture for you?" And then they said yes. Now I think it was kind of set up both ways. I think they were, because her and I was smiling at each other, and then they were taking that picture, and then I took the picture for them, and then we kind of all talked. And then as she was leaving, I kind of reached out and grabbed her arm, like, not too much, but like touched her arm a little bit. And she say, and then I got her WhatsApp, because that's the year I didn't have Instagram. I deactivated my Instagram, which was the smartest thing I could have done at the time.
By the way, were you ever on Tinder?
Oh yeah, I got kicked off.
Were you ever on Hinge?
I got kicked off.
Were you ever on Bumble?
I got kicked off.
Okay, so keep going.
Yeah, they were trying to disrupt my game during the pandemic, But anyways, so then I got her number, and then we started, messaging each other on FaceTime, or we do like, because she went back to Honduras, and we did FaceTime, and then I went to Honduras to see her, and then she came to Ohio, and then 2 years after we met on the same day, I took her last year to the same Starbucks we met at to propose, but the Starbucks was under construction. They were renovating the Starbucks. And then, so I still proposed, there, and she was shocked. She wasn't thinking I would, she wasn't prepared for that. And then we got engaged, and then I go to my car, and I got a dang ticket for parking in the construction zone.
And I said, dude, you got to do a joke right there. Here's the joke you could say. And we came up with this weekend.
It was a double fine, but that's okay because she's triple fine.
Ooh. I love this joke you say about her. About her being the kind of bad girl.
Oh, yeah. Because so the thing is...
This kills, by the way. We're in El Paso, Texas, on a border town. They love this joke.
Yeah, because the great thing is... that right when I met her, it pretty much... People say, was it love at first sight? It actually was, because I have a thing for bad girls, and she looks like an illegal.
The whole crowd claps and laughs. You go, I'll show you her picture.
Yeah, I'll show you her picture.
Damn.
Yeah.
And then last night you were telling these stories on stage, and then someone goes, your wife's going to get mad. And we were like, no, that's why he's doing it now, because she doesn't know enough English yet.
Yeah, she doesn't know English.
Yeah, 20 years from now, she's like, you never told me you were working on an erotic novel. Donde está la biblioteca? Do you know what that means?
No.
Which way is the library?
Okay. Good for you.
Thank you. I learned it back in the day. Hey, I want to play. This is going to play right into something now. Don't use any F words and don't get me kicked off any of my stuff. Where's my phone? Is it?
It's behind you.
It's behind me. Okay, check this out. I'm going to play something. This might make you a little mad, but try to be playful with it if you can. But be your real self. So you're an Ohio boy, which I love, like that David Allan Coe song. I'm an Ohio boy. And your wife is from Honduras. You have a little baby on the way.
Yeah, man. I'm counting my blessings for that and praying everything goes okay. And
So during the election, people were saying some crazy stuff, and I couldn't believe this. There's a show called The View. Are you familiar with The View?
I mean, I know what The View is, but I don't think I'm that demographic to sit there and watch The View. And
have you ever heard of Whoopi Goldberg?
Yeah, I've heard of her.
Well, she's got something to say. You ready? Here we go. Listen to this.
Talking about you, all of you. Talking about you, it's us. He's not going to say, oh, you're with a white guy, I'm going to keep you from being deported. No, he's going to deport you and put the white guy with someone else. The man is out there. He's also
Oh, my God.
Did you hear what she said?
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. Okay, so with that whole topic, I've learned a lot because my woman's from another country, right? And you know what is happening right now? People like her. So, okay, she does not need to live in America. This woman is smart as can be. She learned English at a college that taught English. So she was living in Honduras, went to an American college. So she had to learn English while learning biology, chemistry, all those difficult classes, right? She had a good job in Honduras, awesome family. We met, and then, I'm like, well, I can't live in Honduras. I mean, I'm dead, man. I only speak English, right?
Plus, they say it's a third world country, right?
Were
you a little afraid to go down there? Don't they steal organs?
Yeah, they steal organs. Luckily, I came back with all my organs, but she had my heart, so.
Oh, she stole my heart. Remember I make fun of you on stage for that? She stole my heart. Boo.
No, she stole my heart. But so, there is not. Whoopi Goldberg's just straight up lying right there.
Yeah,
what a liar she is. That is ridiculous. But what happens is when people come to America without going through the proper paperwork and all that, it hurts the people who want to come in through a legal way. So here's a couple for instances. We're looking for to get some help, like some kind of legal help to get her here now that we're married, so that she can get a work if she wants or whatever. And she can't get. There's free lawyers out there through these things, but they're only helping undocumented people. So she coming legally and can't get the help. The other thing that happens is that because like a country like Honduras, so many people come in here basically illegally, that there's something called a lottery. Like, so in France, people can do the green card lottery and get drawn. I know a person who actually got drawn through that. And
let's see how good you beat a lottery. I'm picking a number, but let's see if you can get within 5 digits of the number. Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to write it down. Close your eyes.
Okay.
All right.
But this ain't really what it's about, but okay.
Well, let's just do a little fun, okay? I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 50. What's that number?
45.
You get 2 more guesses.
30.
1 more guess.
16.
Sorry, you don't get to come. The number was...
What is it, 57?
37.
Oh, 37. I said 40.
Did you? I thought you said 45.
Oh, I did say 45. That's right.
Let's do one more. We'll do one more.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'll make it easier. But number between 1 and 30.
20.
1 more guess.
37.
1 and 30. 1 and 30.
Oh, 1 and 30. Oh.
That doesn't count. You get 2 more guesses.
15.
Boom.
14. Okay. So.
Dude, you're a citizen.
That ain't really how it works, but anyways, dude. But
Hold on. I'm gonna see if you can become a citizen. I'm thinking of a color.
Red.
Dude, you're a citizen.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you see me write it?
Yeah, I did. Well, anyways, dude, Whoopi
Yeah.
Goldberg's a nut job, so I don't like her saying
That
straight.
she's going to
How
deport
do
your
you-
wife and make you marry a white chick.
Yeah. How do you say a lie like that, and it's on national television? I mean,
Yeah.
but yet at the same time, when I was questioning all the stuff they were doing to us in 2020, I got kicked off of YouTube, and my profile says comedian. It's like, but yet, whatever news, whatever channel The View is on allows her to say a blatant.
I was thinking
lie.
about that. Like on social media, there's like, you can get fact checked or get in trouble or, you
Yeah.
did this or that. And then, but if you can get somehow go on network television and you can say pretty much whatever you want. It
Yeah.
seems like, as long as you don't curse, I
And,
guess.
and there's probably people that watch that. It's like, oh, she's on TV. She must know what he's talking about. She's going to break him up. That's not going to happen. Trump's wife is from another country. He's not going to
Yeah.
break him up.
Yeah.
There's no way. Dude, that is not going to happen. There's not going to suddenly be, oh yeah, your wife's from Honduras. We're going to send her back to Honduras. Why? She was here on a visa. In the first place, which is, by the way, we wanted to have her parents come to our wedding, but it takes 2 years because they're doing it legally
Yeah.
to get the visa here.
How old were her parents when they got married?
Her parents were 14 when she was born,
Wow.
and I'm 15 years older than her.
Whoa.
It makes me 1 year older than her parents.
Damn.
Her dad calls me sir.
Whoa.
Polite young man.
Calls you senor.
He's senior citizen. And dude, Darren, her mom, beautiful and
Yeah.
closer to my age.
Nice.
But I don't date women who have kids.
That's right. Thank you. This is from his act, you guys, just so you know. 'Cause people are like, this guy is a creep. No, that's cool, man. Her parents really aren't younger. They're a little bit older, right?
They're only. Well, what got me thinking about that was like they're like 4 or 5 years older than me, and I was like, dang, I mean, we're so like I thought, man, I'm closer to her mom's age than her age, and then so then I just kind of reworked the joke.
Yeah.
But that's a skill I learned from Frasier.
Yeah.
Because Frasier's genius like that. And Frasier, one of my first jokes was, because I always used to tell exactly the truth of my jokes, right? And one of my first jokes was I was 24 and I was dating this woman who was 44 and she had a kid. And I was just kind of telling, and Frasier pulled me aside at the ice house. He said, no, here's your joke. You were 20, she was 40, she had a kid. He was 21, but it was cool. He bought you beer.
Perfect.
Oh, I was like, dude, and I've been using that. I still use that joke, dude. I love that joke.
That's a great joke.
Yeah, and it was, but Frasier just saw me like I was trying to like tell the true story of how it was weird dating this older, or whatever, with this older chick or whatever.
Yeah, I have a friend that does weird math things where he's like, I'm 49 and she's 72 and this is this and then. It's like, dude, just make it nice round numbers.
Yeah.
20, 40, the sum is 21. Boom. You could just, everyone can picture it. you
Yeah,
know?
and then it was just funny, and it got to the point of, even though it was an exaggeration, it showed the differentiate.
Hey, we're running out of time. I want to keep it moving, but I want to know about your wrestling. So you used to wrestle in high school.
Yeah, so I used to wrestle in high school. I was a state qualifier, which was pretty good. I held the school takedown record for most takedowns, career, single season. But I wasn't very good when I started. I was terrible, actually. But I really liked wrestling. It kept me out of trouble. And I got to meet some great friends, and my coach was great, and my mentor, Coach D. Hart, was great as well. And I met an Olympic champion, Doug Blueball, rest in peace. He went by old Coach Blue Nuts. I loved him. And so I wrestled in high school, and it was my thing. And then I thought I would go to college and wrestle. And then when I was 19, my life took a different turn, and I ended up in Pasadena, California, living in an old lady's attic.
Dude, it's expensive to live in LA, but you found a loophole.
Yeah, I found a loophole, $300 a month. August for free because it got so hot. And
You lived in the attic for free for a month?
every August was free, and I lived there for like 2 or 3 years. It was great.
Could you stand up the whole way?
Well, no, in the side of the house, because the house had like a frame, like
an A-frame.
Yeah, like an A-frame house. So when I would go to, so many times I would go to get my clothes from the drawer. And then without thinking, you stand up.
Oh, no.
And I bump my head when I stand up.
And you'd be like, damn, well, at least the rent was free.
Yeah, it was worth it,
Ever
But
bring any ladies back to the attic?
I did a couple times, once or twice. And it was kind of got to sneak them in,
Put that in the erotic novel.
Yeah. And then as we're like sneaking in. But you know what? I was young, so they didn't really care too much when you're young. I mean, if you're 30s or 40s doing that, but when you're 20 and you're meeting another 20-year-old, you guys are just moved out. Some of them think, oh, well, at least he's not living with his mom, but kind of are with that, But it was just like. So, but I didn't really know too many people when I moved out there.
What's creepier, living in an attic or a basement?
I think a basement sounds worse. I don't know.
Ladies, leave a comment in the comment section. Would you, if you were to go back to a guy's dwelling, would you be more comfortable going back to his basement or his attic? Leave it in the comment section.
Yeah, that's a good question. That was a good question. So anyways, dude, but yeah, we had I had some good times. So anyways,
so you always in the back of your mind, like, man, I never college wrestling. So now you're 45 years old.
Yeah, I'm 45 years old, and I am on a college wrestling team now. And what happened was I was in an adult tournament doing adult wrestling, age 30 and up group. And one of the guys there said, well, first what really happened was I was at my sister's house, and I had a dream that I was wrestling in college. And this was like 2 or 3 years ago. And I woke up and there was tears in my eyes. Like literally I was crying, my subconscious or whatever. And there was a picture of my dad at her house that faces the couch I sleep on. So I wake up, I got tears in my eyes. And my first thought was, I'll never wrestle in college. And then there's a picture of my dad staring at me. And then I go to the computer and Google oldest college wrestler. And I was 42 at the time, and a clip of a 42-year-old guy come up, a little news article, and then there was another video of another guy who was in his 40s and wrestled. Then I found a video of another 45-year-old guy that had done it. So I was like, whoa, it's possible. So then I kind of was thinking about it, and then I heard that this team that was like 2 hours away from me was starting their wrestling team, and they just got a coach in May. And I thought to myself, they're not going to have a full team from May to August, because that's when school starts, So I went to the college and I got the number of the coach from the girl that worked there, and I signed up for classes. And I say, I called and said, hey, coach, my name's Brian Swinehart. I would like to try out for the wrestling team. I'm a little older, but I'd love to try out. And he called me back. He's like, how old are you? It's like, coach, I'm older than you. I saw your videos on YouTube. I got you. Turns out he was born in 1998. I graduated high school in 1998. But he said, he goes, well, we could use some extra people on the team. And I gave him a couple. I have some references of guys that I've wrestled with and trained with that vouched for me that I am a serious wrestler, even though, and that I am doing tournaments. And of course, the difference of doing college wrestling to the few tournaments I do as an adult is a huge difference. I mean, but
dude, I can imagine, because I told you I was on the 8th grade wrestling team, and I remember some high school kids came to show us, like they were seniors, and they showed us some moves, and we're like, I was like, they were just the growth difference between that, because I knew like the fireman's carry, the single leg takedown, the double leg takedown, but they were doing like all these moves that we had no idea, and you're just so fast and strong, and you're like, so I can imagine the leap from high school to college wrestling, and then the 20-year gap or 25-year gap it's been.
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, it's sport is already hard. The thing I was kind of saying to some people earlier too is your footwork and even some of the moves I forgot what we did or how I did, and then there's like tweaks on moves that happened before. Like
when you watched Mike Tyson fight, did it kind of relate on a different level? Because
I mean, I'm not comparing myself to Mike Tyson by any means, but what I can compare or relate to him is the foot. When I saw him kind of moving out there and he's kind of moving slow and he's got his footwork, because I've had a problem of that. Like your brain is telling you to do something. Like I can literally feel it. I can feel a guy coming for my leg, and my brain is saying move, and my leg just isn't as fast as it once was, and it's frustrating because you feel what you could do, what you used to be able to do, and so the flexibility, that's another thing. The people who are you flex, all those little things you can feel, but at the same time, dude, I'm having fun with it. It's getting me into a lot better shape, and I'm counting my blessings every day that I do it. And Darren, this is kind of weird, but I'm so passionate about it, and I'm so, like I said, grateful. The first day we had conditioning, because what they do is they give you conditioning before you start going to practices. And we're running sprints around the track. And, of course, I'm coming in last place, with the other wrestlers. They're all faster than me at that, which is tough, too, because when I was 19 or 20, they wouldn't have been faster than me, but at 45. But we're running around the track, and I was thinking to myself, I can't believe I'm doing this. And I got a frog in my throat. You know what a frog in your throat is?
Like a lump in your throat.
Yeah, like I kind of like emotions were building up, like almost like tearful. And I was like, okay, I can't let nobody see this, right? But like,
Here comes that running sissy from California.
Yeah,
He's like, I've always wanted to be on the wrestling team. When I'm not working in my erotic novels, I can't believe it, I'm back. You're like, don't forget I'm an Ohio boy.
Yeah.
Like, who's that old guy out there crying?
Yeah, that old guy crying, right?
Like he just won Raw. Adrian, I did it. We did it.
So I'm gonna be.
You're in last place, but in your mind you're in first place.
Yeah, man. Do. Yeah. So I kind of was like, dang. So, but I just been, and it's crazy because.
By the way, I'd rather you have a lump in your throat than a lump in your shorts.
Yeah, true, dude. True, dude.
Dude, the old man, did he have some oatmeal this morning? What's going on back there? My Metamucil kicked in.
It's tough too because I don't feel old, but compared to
Right.
but you know what's crazy, man? I'm having such a great time because I made friends with in one of my classes. I sit by this guy named Big B, and he's this defensive lineman for the football team. And for whatever reason, dude, me and this guy became friends. I think too, because I kind of help him out on some of the stuff because it's funny because being a little older, I kind of breeze through these classes, and I really pay attention too, though, because what's different is when I left school, there was no technology, so you sat down there and you'd write notes and all this. Now I'm looking at these classes, half the kids are on their phone, the other half are watching YouTube videos while the teacher's talking. Then the teacher will be writing notes on the board, and I'm sitting there with my pen and paper jotting down the notes. And at the end of the class, the kids get up, they take their cell phone and just take a picture of what the teacher just wrote on the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, dude, you can do that?
Yeah.
I'm transcribing with pen and paper.
Yeah.
Where's my number 2 pencil? Has anybody seen my scrolls?
Exactly, dude.
And they're just taking a picture.
Yeah.
Peace, fam. We out.
They're using AI to do the rest of this stuff, right? But I'm like, but anyways, this guy and I became friends, and I went to the cafeteria to get some food, and he's like, hey, Brian, come over here. And so I'm sitting with the football team, 45-year-old dude, and we're just roasting and riffing. And I totally forget, but they remember, well, how old? And they're busting me, dude. They're like, well, how old are you, 90? And we're just, but they got it because they're athletes too. And I told the guys, I was like, you know what? This is my last chance. I feel where my body's at. I always wanted to do it. And they're like, they gave me props. And it was just like, they say, I give you props, pops, but
Props, pops.
yeah. And but no, it was kind of. I feel like I'm Rodney Dangerfield in Back to School, where he goes back and
At least you shave. You know what I mean? You're not you don't even have gray hair.
Well, you know what? Sometimes I don't shave. It's there for a while because I had a crazy schedule because it was 2 hours to the school. I had to drive. I just recently moved closer, and then I had to drive. So I'd wake up at 3:30 in the morning to get in my car by 4 a.m. so that at 6 a.m. I could be with the team weightlifting and doing conditioning. Then I'd be at the school all day till after practice, which ends at 5:30. Then I'd have to get a real quick shower, get back in my car, and drive another 2 hours back home. So I'd get home around 8:30, 9 o'clock, fall asleep, wake back up. So some of that time I wasn't shaving, so I was looking kind of rough. In fact, when we took the team pictures, I should have shaved, but I didn't shave. So I'm like, but anyways, dude. But yeah, so it's like, yeah. But in my mind, I don't realize the age difference until we had that. Then we have the tournament, and it's the first tournament, and I go to the tournament, and my first match. So I saw this other kid. There's a kid I know. Carson Thomas, who was the state champion, and he's 18-year-old, but he's not even wrestling in high school this year. He's only doing college tournaments. He's going to wrestle at Indiana University. So if you're 18, you can do college tournaments even if you're not in the college. And he said, I've wrestled this guy. It was a guy I was going to wrestle. He goes, I beat him. He goes, I beat him last year at the state tournament. I was like, okay, so I knew this guy was going to be good because he was at the state tournament. But I'm like, well, this guy beat him. He goes, yeah, you'll be fine, man. He's quick, but you'll be good. Just don't lead with your right leg. So I'm saying, okay, don't lead with my right leg. I'll be good. He's quick. Okay, maybe I can do this. Well, dude, the dude was so quick. Carson was giving me some confidence, but this guy was awesome, dude. And he come out there and just like take me down and was like,
I saw that photo. Where is that the guy that literally
no,
grabbed
that
you?
was the next guy.
Oh my gosh!
So the guy I wrestled first ends up winning the whole tournament.
Wow.
And what I didn't know about this guy is he's signed to go wrestle at Iowa Hawkeyes. So if you know about Iowa Hawkeyes, is them and Penn State are always the number 1 and 2 schools. So it's a possibility that this guy that I wrestled could end up being a national champion in college, which would be awesome, dude, right? Like to be able to. But then the next dude I wrestle, I'm looking, I'm like, dude, I got to wrestle this. Because here's the other thing. You have to do weigh-ins. So you got to go weigh yourself. Well,
what do you normally weigh?
Okay, my normal, if I'm like doing comedy style lifestyle, I weigh 180 because
So like if you got on a scale today, you probably weigh 180.
Yeah, I'd probably weigh around that.
What do you wrestle at?
Well, that tournament I wrestled 174, but really I should wrestle 165. Okay, because that's more like if I'm healthy. If I'm eating healthy, I weigh 174 pounds. Right, without cutting weight. So you got guys that will weigh 190 pounds and they'll cut down to 174 pounds. These guys are animals, dude. They are animals. And they're in the top of their physical peak too, that age group. So I'm at the weigh-ins and I'm looking around like, dude, I'm the littlest guy in this weight class by far. Like, I'm just like, and then I'm looking at the 165 weight class. I'm like, they're monsters too. Then I'm looking at the 157 weight class. I'm like, they're monsters too. They're just a little shorter. Like, so it's like these guys are animals.
So maybe you get down to 130, you can start winning.
I don't know. I'll try. They'll probably be too quick, but I'm thinking of trying.
No, don't do that.
No, I'm not going to do that. They take a test at the beginning of the year called the hydration test. It says how far you can cut weight. And they said the lowest I could go is like 150 something. But I don't even think I've never been 150 since I was in high school. So, but anyways, dude, the next guy picked me up and just made,
There's a photo of it, guys. Go to his Instagram. Where do they find you on Instagram?
Brian Swinehart, BrianSwine.
He literally, this muscle-bound dude just picking you up, and it looks like, oh my gosh, it looks like a father taking his toddler to bed, reluctantly.
It's so true, dude.
Then luckily he did, because I asked her, did he body slam you? Or?
Well, you know what? He actually set me down pretty gently, considering. I mean, it wasn't totally gently, but then he was, he pinned me. At first, I did one good thing. He had me on my back, and I really fought like heck to get off my back. And then he rolled me again. And then he had me in a place where I was trying to peel his hands off of me so I could get out. And while I was doing that, I put both my shoulder blades accidentally on the mat, and the ref called pin. Yeah. So then the match is over. And here's another thing. When you're 45-year-old and you're wrestling, a lot of people come to the mat to watch your match. Yeah. See if the guy lives, see if he survives. I want to see if he's any good, So I'm getting done, and I look around, and there's and plus the dude was so big, everybody, we got to see this, right?
How fast can the old man lose?
Yeah, right. What's going to happen? So the mat is packed, and I get off, and as I'm walking off the mat, I go, well, at least he didn't slam me too hard. And everybody just starts laughing, dude. They're just like laughing, dude.
Yeah, because they're all thinking the same thing.
Yeah, they're all like, dude. And then I start talking, and I start talking to the guy's dad. And he's 47 years old. I'm 45 years old. And his dad, by the way, looks tough as heck.
Wow.
He goes, I think I can still take my son. I say, yeah, you can. You got dad on him. Because dads can always take their sons, right? Yeah. Pretty much. And it gets to an age where they can't count. But
you hear that, Austin?
Yeah.
Austin, the bass boss.
Your dad's got you, okay? No matter how many push-ups you can do, even if you do more pull-ups than him, right?
Yeah.
And his dad was tough, too. You could tell. So, but it was just kind of wild, being the same age as the dad of my opponent. But his family was cool. They were all talking to me. His grandma came up. His grandpa came up.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm having a blast with it, dude. I'm having the time of my life, to be honest.
That's beautiful, man. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Flamingo with the edits. He edited some clips recently for us, so check him out on Instagram, Flamingo. He remember yesterday we did a live and we got on live with Theo Vaughn and Amir K. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. That was great. So we had a fun time with them. That was pretty cool. They jumped on it. It's kind of nice, dude, because I don't get to see the comics like as much as I used to. So it's kind of cool to be able to see those guys out there doing their thing, you know.
Yeah. Junior Gutierrez Boogeyman, Flamingo 1019. That's his name.
Yeah, he's an awesome editor. So I was shocked. We did the live, and then we went to go get something to eat. And by that time, we didn't even message him about it. He already had an edit done. And he put all these little cool graphics in. I was like, wow, how the heck? That's cool.
That's where it's at now, man. Get your team behind you. Get your stuff out there. If you're into social media, if you're a creator, get your stuff out there. Let the world know that you live, that you exist, you know. I want to give a special shout out to everybody who comments on YouTube, on Instagram. You guys are just skyrocketing my career, and I appreciate you guys. Yeah. On behalf of my guest, Brian Swinehart, we're going to take off right now. I'm Darren Carter, the party starter. Find me on Instagram, official Darren Carter. Look up Brian. Let us know you heard the podcast. And any parting words?
Yeah. Doesn't matter what it is in life. If there's something that you want to do that you haven't done yet, you still got time to do it. Doesn't matter if people are going to call you crazy. Doesn't matter if people are going to laugh at you. Doesn't matter if you doubt yourself. You can do it. It ain't over till you win. It's swine time.
Everybody listen to Darren Carter. We all know he's the party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, then listen to The Pocket Party.